Let me ask you a question. This is something that I've struggled with over the
Mhm.
years, and this is probably a little, I said I didn't want to get political, but
Do it.
I
It's your
so
show, not mine.
one thing I've struggled with over the years, and I'm not saying I break this rule, but
Mhm.
let's just say I know people that do.
Sure.
And that is, there are people when they hear of these gun free zones. What's your position on that? I'm not saying we're going to advise anybody to break any laws, but to me, those are the areas I feel the most vulnerable.
Mhm.
And those are the areas that I could see someone actually breaking those rules
Mhm.
because the bad guys are thinking, oh, well, nobody's
Mhm.
supposed to have guns in these gun free zones in this
Right.
building that I'm now going into. What are your thoughts on that? Without
Yeah.
advising someone to break a law.
Yeah, so, the fact of the matter is it's not just a feeling, right? It's not just like, "I kinda feel vulnerable, but maybe that's just me being paranoid." No, like, school shootings happen, church shootings happen, the Nashville shooting. They said, "I was going to go to this other school, but they had armed security, so I knew that I couldn't kill as many people." So they went to this other school that didn't have armed security. Same thing with, movie theaters, with malls, with churches that have these strict rules. They're usually very open about that. It's on their Facebook page, it's on their website, or it's at the edge of their parking lot, and literally all somebody has to do is go, there's somewhere where nobody has guns. Like, if you want to kill as many people as possible, that's the place that you go. And so that's the terrifying thing as a protector is, the places that we really need to have guns, that we really need to be well protected in those areas are the ones that that we're told we're not allowed to carry there. So again, I'm not going to advise people either way, but I will say do what you need to do to protect your family, and also like know the laws in your state and know the difference between like government buildings and places where you legally cannot carry, like a courthouse, banks, things like that, versus like private businesses that just have a policy that you can't carry. And I will say that's different in different states, because some states, like if they have it posted, then that's an extension of the law in a way, which is kind of unconstitutional, but that you have to have permission from the owner or something. But in some states, if it's against the policy, then all they can do is ask you to leave for breaking the policy if they catch you with a gun.
Oh,
It's
interesting. I
not
didn't know that.
necessarily,
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
just
It
because they
depends
have a
on the
cute
state.
little sign up that says, no firearms in this building does not
Mhm.
necessarily mean that they can enforce that by law.
Right. Depending on the state. Yeah. Depending on the state. Because some states treat that as if it's law. Other states are like, it's private property and they can have those rules. And if you don't follow the rules, then you can leave and they could give you a ticket for trespassing if law enforcement is called. But again, that's if you're caught with the gun or if you have to use the gun. If you're concealed carrying and nobody ever sees it, then nobody ever sees it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think that it is concerning and it is scary that the places that we are most vulnerable are places that you are not allowed to have your guns.
I'll just say to these cowards that like to do these mass shootings, I wanted to take a quick break and tell you about something I'm doing outside of educating folks on our YouTube channel. If you're a service professional of any type, you don't have to be an HVAC, I want to invite you to check out our growth groups at newhvacguide.com. They are full of other pros like you that are wanting to grow. You can share strategies, overcome challenges, and unlock your full potential with the supportive community of your peers. Learn from industry experts and proven business tactics tailored specifically for service businesses.
The amount of information that I've gotten out of this has been unparalleled value. I've learned so much from the other guys in the group, what to do, sometimes what not to do. It's helped inspire me. I'm really looking forward to what the future holds with it as my company grows and I grow as a person on this call.
Check out the description or the chat for the link. See you soon. I'll just say to these cowards that like to do these mass shootings, without admitting anything on my part, I will just say that if they think they're safe going into some of those places and no one's got a gun, they might be surprised. I'll
Right.
just say that.
Yeah.
Especially some of our churches. I know that
Mhm.
there are some of my churches that are local churches to me
Mhm.
where They don't care what the policy is.
Mhm.
And good luck if you go in there. Let me just kind of piggyback off of that for a second, because I have worked at companies where they have said it is our policy that you're not going to be carrying, you're not going to have any sort of protection with you. That's our policy. And I do think that, I think it's a valid argument for some homeowners to say, I don't want an electrician or a plumber or a heating and air guy bringing protection into my home because of fill in blank. I think that's a whole nother sticky topic, right? Is there anything you can add on that part, or just kind of the same?
Yeah, I think that that's first of all, I think it's a terrible thing for any business or organization to do, honestly. Like if you want to be open and say like, look, we're fine with you having your concealed carry, whatever, then that's fine. Like, get your concealed carry permit. If you want to have that as a policy, then great. If you don't want to say anything about it for liability reasons and just say like, we haven't talked about it, that's on them. I get that. Like, that's the big concern for businesses and big corporations, is that they don't want the liability of, well, we haven't trained them with a firearm. Our job is not to have a firearm. So we don't want that liability. So that's why they're putting it in the policy. Most of them are not doing it to necessarily make sure that nobody has guns. It's just to cover their own butt. If you have to use a gun. Now, that's not to say if they catch you with it, they're not going to fire you. But again, I think you have to make your own decisions. And to me, like, my life is always going to be more valuable than some job. Like, I'm not going to give up my life or put myself at risk to make a boss happy. I can always find another job. Can't find another life if I'm dead. So I think that that's a decision that everybody has to make. And it's made news headlines quite a few times with companies like Uber. Uber doesn't let their drivers carry, which is kind of strange because they're contracted out anyway. They're not employees.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah, but they're Uber drivers. Like, what do? They pick up drunk people at 4 a.m. that are getting in bar fights and are asked to leave the bar, right? You talk about a dangerous job, like sketchy people. And so we've seen a lot of Ubers have those dash cam videos, and we've seen videos of them being robbed or them being shot or attacked. And we've seen a few of them actually like have their own firearm and defend themselves. And they always lose their job because of it. But again, you can always get another job, but your life is more valuable.
Yeah. That's interesting. Does Lyft have the same policy? Because if not, then I'll be using Lyft from now on.
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume so, just because it's fairly common, but I'm really not sure. I think some of that may have to do with where the company is based. But one more thing I'll say on that: when I worked in social work, that's another profession that I get a lot of folks coming into my classes for that. But when I worked in social work several years ago, we were not allowed to carry by policy. And, we would go to these houses where these parents literally the system took their kids away because they were drug addicts and they were violent offenders, and they're, in and out of prison. Like, these are dangerous people with meth labs in their basement, like people with, domestic violence on a regular nightly thing. And we weren't allowed to carry when we went to their homes. And actually, in our training, one of the things that they said was, somebody brought up dogs and said, well, what if there's a dog that's trying to attack us? And they said, well, you could carry something like lemon juice to like squirt in the dog's eyes if a dog's going to attack you. And I'm like, do you not understand how dog attacks works, or how like people attacks works? Because it doesn't go as like you think it does, where you can just squirt lemon juice in somebody's eye or in a dog's eye, and that's going to be it. But they wanted to cover themselves and just say like, no, you can't have it because we don't want it to affect us. And it's something that especially people in those professions, they need to be able to carry firearms. They need OC spray.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, from someone that has employed others, I could see why some companies might have policies in place to, if nothing else, protect themselves in case you get an employee that's being an idiot.
Sure.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.